Hi, I'm Linda Leon, and thank you for watching the program today. On our last segment, we talked about how to use television as a very good marketing tool as a new author. And we talked about the different ways that you can actually get on television. We talked about the pay for performance module. You can get on that way. We talked about the press release driven circuit, where it's newswire usage that gets you on the air. And then we also talked about you paying for your own production and deriving your own content. And those were the three main ways that we got, that we discussed getting on television. So what we're going to do in today's segment is go into a little bit more detail on how those systems actually work and how they can work for you, because they really can work for you. It's just, to me, is a no-brainer because I've seen it done. To many of you that may be viewing, you say, wow, this is a daunting task. It seems like it's something that can't be done. But I read something the other day that really stuck with me, and it said basically that the word impossible is basically an opinion. So if you don't have the opinion that something is impossible, then it's really not impossible to you. So if you really have that desire to get on television, then you can do that, without a doubt, you can get it done. Now, let me tell you some of the benefits of why paid for performance is a good route to get on television. Because normally when you're using that, it takes out all of the guesswork. It takes out the guesswork in terms of, are they going to respond to what I have to say? Who's actually listening? Who's actually paying attention? In those type of situations, you've already got your connections basically built. You've built reputations with people. They know you. They know of your work. They know the quality that you present to them. And so there are certain doors already open because of the networking that you've already done over the years. And that's what makes the pay for performance module such a good tool to use at your disposal, because of the fact that you're already building on a reputation that's been built. So when you go into that situation, you've already got a leg up, so to speak. And that's why, people working with that type of situation tell you, well, if we can't get you booked, you will get your money back, because for the most part they've already built the connections and the relationships. So you're walking into a door that's been paved by somebody else's hard work and dedication. So it really makes that a very good model. It's pretty quick, and when I speak of quick, I mean it's something that you don't have to take a lot of time to plan for. Some models of getting on television require a lot of time, but pay for performance really doesn't. It's very time sensitive, however, because a lot of it works off of topics. And what we talked about last time was relevance. A lot of it works off of what is current, what's going on in the industry right now, what's in the news. All of those things are, pretty time sensitive. So you might get on a program and say your book is on relationships. Your book is on how to make marriages work. And you've done this fantastic book. You've got loads of statistics and all this kind of wonderful data. And you want to get on the air and you want to talk about your book. But you go to paid for performance method. You might not talk a lot about your book on that telecast. But what you will talk about is what you know in that book, your statistics, the things that you can present to the audience that are newsworthy. But that's not an area to get discouraged over, because what you're doing is you're building your image. And remember, on the first segment that we did, we talked about image building. We talked about professionalism and expertise. That's all a part of marketing your book. When people get into book marketing, you are really becoming an expert in the area, in all areas relating to your book, not just the content of your book. So they might ask you 1,000 questions about relationships. And then at the very end, they'll say, now, you have a website, or you have a book, or you have this, and then they'll pitch your book that way. But what you're doing is you're giving a whole national audience the opportunity to see you at your professional best. And the goal when you do pay for performance is that you develop such an image that other people springboard off of that. They'll say, oh, I saw her on so-and-so's program. Of course, we want her on our network. So this is all building. These are building blocks. That's why one of the principles that I like to teach our clients is once you get your book done and it's actually in print form and it's perfected the way you want it, that book is no longer a book anymore. That book becomes a product. And a product is something that has to be marketed, and the purpose of a product is to meet the needs of someone, something that they need or something that they want. That is what you do with a product. Your book is driven by content, but your book as a product is designed to meet the needs or the wants of a particular individual. And so when you do things on paid for performance, what you're doing is you are presenting something to a mass audience where the need for your material and the desire, that want of your material comes to pass, not necessarily based off of the contents, but how you presented yourself as an expert. So you'll get on these programs, and then the goal is to get on enough of them so that you really begin to brand yourself. Now that's another thing that goes on with paid for performance. It's a great way to brand yourself. So you begin to brand yourself by showing your professionalism and your expertise. And you're doing this week after week, interview after interview. This works the same for radio as in television. Both works the same way. And then all of a sudden, you've got an audience following you because now they understand, oh, that's the relationship expert. They're going to know you by your brand. They're going to know you by your professionalism, by your expertise. Then they'll buy your book because they'll say, oh, she's the one that wrote the book. So she's giving me all this precious data on how to have a relationship, and she's so knowledgeable with the statistics, and she's so forthcoming with the information. Surely there's something in her book that's going to be of interest to me, so I want that book. So what paid for performance helps you to do is create a demand. It creates a demand for you as a person, your branding, your personal branding, and that's basically how that one works. Now, when you go the other route, which is through the press release distribution, and like I mentioned in the previous segment, how it actually hits the news wires, well, that's another mode, because what you're doing is blanketing the media. You are sending this out in tremendous force if you use the right channels. And I truly believe that the reason why most people's press releases don't work is because they don't understand the science of a press release to begin with, and then besides that, they send it to free distribution points, and those are not the ones that are going to get you the most bang for your buck. So you want to make sure that you get it into a high enough quality distribution network where it's actually working for you and is written to draw attention to your release, because you're in competitions with multiplied thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So you're competing. And the way that the media operates, when these releases come to their desk, it could be a mountain of them. You know, it could be something that's sent to them now, email, but when I was doing it, it actually came through the fax machine. So you can have a stack of these things come through, and you're just sitting there just flipping, you know, trying to find the one that hits your attention, because you're going to have to fill some airtime, and you're looking for quality guests and programming. You're just sitting there, and then boom, one hits your attention, and you get in touch with that person, and you're saying, oh, I saw this come across as a release, and we'd like to book you on this program because we have this topic coming up. So basically, that's how the press release thing works. It not only just goes directly to media in their own newsrooms, but it also goes to all kinds of places, newspapers. It goes to all kind of internet sources, all kind of blog sources. It's just massive. But the thing is, you have to make sure you're working it right, because if you don't work it right, you're not going to get the results. So there is a science, and they have people that write press releases. That's their profession. And one of the things that we do for our clients is to make sure they have a quality written press release, so that when we're sending it over these news wires, the the chances that it's going to draw attention is going to be great because of the fact that you've actually sat there and analyzed everything you put in there. What makes a press release effective, and this is a very good source of getting yourself onto the airwaves, what makes a press release effective is because you're using words that will actually optimize that release. It's really word-based, word-driven. It's a lot of principles involved with how things are highlighted. You know, like when you have a newspaper article, the headlines, you know, that's your highlight. That's the thing that draws people's attention. Well, how that press release is set up in terms of the headline, the byline of it, the content. Do you have any terms in it that, like keywords that draw attention? You know, it's so much that's involved in just that little release, and knowing that it has to be short enough to get the media's attention, where it's telling the people who you are, what you want, and what you can do for them. I mean, that's the main thing that you have to get across. So there's a science behind the press release.